Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to, depending on wherever you may live, the middle of the night or early morning bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they really do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this middle of the night or early morning bonus upload, shall we? Today's first part of the upload is a very historic and terrifying creature that lives in the Honey Island Swamp. Now, the Honey Island Swamp is marshland located in the eastern portion of the United States, Louisiana, in St. Tammany Parish. The island earned its name due to the abundance of honeybees once seen on a nearby isle. The swamp is bordered on the north by US 11 and the south by Lake Bourne. On the east by the Pearl River and on the west by West Pearl River. The swamp is located within the Pearl River Wildlife Management Area and managed by the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. It is one of the least altered river swamps in the United States, considered by many to be one of the most pristine swampland habitats in the U.S. The Honey Island Swamp covers an area that is over 20 miles, or 30 kilometers long, and nearly 7 miles, or 10 kilometers across, with 35,619 of its 70,000 acres government sanctioned as permanently protected wildlife area. Very few roads travel into the area and is accessible only by boat or foot. The area is a haven for wildlife such as black bear, gator, white-tailed deer, feral hog, rabbit, squirrels, fish, birds, and an ever-dwindling population of Florida panther, once common across Louisiana. But some believe that lurking in the deepest parts of the swamp, parts seldom traveled by man, there lives a monster. In the early 60s, as men began to push further into the swampland, locals began to encounter a large, hair-covered bipedal creature, which would come to be known as the Honey Island Swamp Monster. The first documented sighting of the creature took place in early August of 1963, when a retired air traffic controller, Harlan E. Ford, and his friend Ray Mills emerged from the deepest recesses of the Honey Island with an incredible story. The pair of veteran hunters claimed that while out in the swamps, they came across a large creature hunched over a body of a dead boar. The strange creature apparently had ripped the boar's throat out. Mr. Ford described the creature as being covered in dingy gray hair, with longer hair hanging from its head, as the creature glared menacingly at him, and his partner, Mr. Ford, noticed the creature's clawed hands before it fled into the woods. The two estimated the creature to weigh about 400 pounds and stand about 7 feet tall, but what they remembered most was its sickly yellow eyes, set far apart on its skull, and a horrific stench which surrounded the beast. Although Harlan Ford and Ray Mills' report was the first official documented sighting of the Honey Island Swamp Monster, stories of this ferocious creature date back hundreds of years Native Americans of the area called the creature lechi and described it as a carnivorous aquatic humanoid. They believed it was once an abandoned child who was raised by gators in the uncharted regions of the swamp. Cajuns called the creature the Lougarou, which has often been misinterpreted as werewolf. The Honey Island swamp monster has been blamed for numerous human and livestock deaths, which seem to have plagued the area for decades. One of the strangest legends surrounding the Honey Island swamp monster revolves around a train wreck which allegedly occurred near the Pearl River in the early part of the 20th century. According to this legend, the train was full of exotic animals from a traveling circus which fled into the swamps after the train derailed, while most of the creatures would soon perish in the harsh swampland. The legend goes on to tell us that a troop of chimpanzees managed to survive, and even went as far as interbreeding with alligators. The result was a strange colony of reptilian-like mammals. Some researchers believe that the Honey Island swamp monster is related to Bigfoot. The body size certainly is a match for most Bigfoot sightings, estimate the creature to be 7 foot tall and covered with hair. However, the tracks found in the area of the Honey Island swamp do not resemble tracks collected in the Pacific Northwest. They are 4 and sometimes 3-toed, much like tracks discovered in southeastern Texas and parts of Florida. Casts made by Harlan Ford are about 10 to 12 inches long and have 3 long, thin toes set next to each other and a 4th set back on the inside, rather like a thumb. Some researchers believe that this could be an isolated population of Bigfoot, cut off from the other Bigfoot. They were forced to breed with members of the same family. When interbreeding takes place, the first area to be affected is genetic deformities, our fingers and toes. This theory may explain why the Honey Island monster and other southern hominid tracks only have 3 to 4 toes. The mystery of the Honey Island swamp monster continues to this day with a handful of eyewitness reports. One thing is for sure. If there were ever an area to hide a large creature from human eyes, Honey Island Swamp would be the place. I just want to interject, and then we'll continue. What's interesting to me is that the description of the feet match canine, if you think about it. 3 to 4, but the 4th being further back, like a dog. Sharp claws, sickly yellow eyes, rather large. Dogman, could be a Sasquatch, but I'm leaning towards something along a Dogman. Or possibly, could a Sasquatch and Dogman have interbred? Who knows? Probably not. But remember a couple of weeks ago when I was discussing what I read in the Smithsonian magazine about 2 human species, the Neanderthal and our sister species, interbreeding. Anything is possible in nature. Back to this. To date, there is no physical evidence of the Honey Island swamp monster. In 1978, Alan Lambsberg's company, producer of a popular TV program, In Search Of, did a segment on the Honey Island swamp monster. Some plaster casts of that creature's footprints have also been gathered as proof. However, without solid physical evidence, modern science will never accept the Honey Island swamp monster as a fact. I remember that show. I was 2 when it came out, but they used to replay it. I think I was like 5 or 6, maybe 7 when I saw it for the first time, and it freaked me out. And I know for a fact that a lot of you guys remember it too. Here are a list of some sightings. 1963, Harlan Ford and Raymond Mills report would be as the first documented account of the creature. 1973, a guide was traveling down the bayou in a small boat when it struck something in the water. The guide stopped to see what it was, and when he saw was a creature swim to shore, climb out of the water, and walk into the woods on two legs. A local man, Ted Williams, described two encounters with the creature. The first time I saw it, it was standing plumb like a stump. I stopped and realized it was not a stump, and it wasn't supposed to be there. When I stopped, it ran. It was dark gray, about 7 feet tall. It jumped into the bayou. The bayou is a southern equivalent of a stream, except the water moves slow. It may not even appear to even have a flow. That was the first time I saw it. The next time I saw him, it was swimming in the river, the Pearl River. Two of them. One was bigger than the other and faster than the other, and they swam just like a human. Long overhead strokes. I tried to get one of them to look at me, and the other one ran off, and the other one would not look at me. I could have shot it, but I wouldn't on the account that it wouldn't look at me. It looked too much like a human. Broad shoulders, arms hanging below its knees, hands almost human-like. Barry Ford describes his encounter to the In Search Of crew. My wife and I were going on a fishing trip about 4 years ago, and at about 9 p.m., the video shows them camping in a swamp, that night I heard this particular noise, a scream, down the river. I'd say about a half a mile away. My wife wanted me to build a fire, so I was out gathering wood, and it screamed again, this time much closer, maybe 300 yards. That's when it really scared her. It scared me, but I tried not to let her know that I was scared. So I went ahead and kept building the fire. The video shows them building small fires around their camp, and less than 10 minutes later it screamed again, and this time it was right on top of us. It almost shook the leaves off the trees. Harlan Ford retells another encounter with the creature. One evening late, just about dark, a friend and I encountered eyes. They were a yellow or an amberish color set really wide apart. So my friend, Jim Hartzig, took out his gun and went into the area to try to kill whatever it was. He says he came face to face with the thing. It looked like an ape, about 7 feet tall, and he fired on it. He said when he did, the eyes went away. It almost likely turned and ran. He shot at it once more. So when we went back the next day to look for signs and blood, we did not find any. We just figured Jim missed that night. Now, the gentleman who had the first documented sighting, Harlan Ford, believes that these creatures are on the verge of extinction. Or could the Honey Island swamp monster be the Rougarou, which is a Cajun or Acadian variation of the original French words loup-garou, that describe a large, terrifying, werewolf-like creature that haunts the swamps around Acadian and New Orleans, as well as fields and forests in southern Louisiana. The Cajun variation and original French are used interchangeably. French Acadians are said to have arrived in Louisiana bringing the legend of the Rougarou with them after they were deported by the British in 1755. Others believe that the legend came directly from the French who settled Louisiana. Most of the legends describe the Rougarou as a monster with a human body and the head of a wolf or a dog. Other versions of the Rougarou's appearance sound more like the description of Bigfoot or the alleged swamp ape. These legends describe the creature as over 10 feet tall with dark, matted hair, blazing red eyes, and long, sharp fangs that are usually bared. The creature also sometimes described as a shadow that haunts anyone out late at night, a ravenous beast, a ghost, or a jealous lover that has been transformed into a werewolf. Various myths and legends about the loup-garou. One variation of the legend states that the person can be transformed into the Rougarou either by being attacked by one or by looking into its evil gaze. However, anyone who survives either incident can reverse the curse by remaining silent about it for a year and a day. If this is accomplished, not only is this victim freed from the curse, but so is the Rougarou that attacked or encountered them. Another method for reversing the curse is to place 13 small objects in the doorways and windows of the home. It is said that the Rougarou can only count to 12 and will be forced to start over each time he reaches 12. Consequently, he will be so occupied in this pursuit that he will not notice the approaching dawn until it's too late and he must return to the swamp. There's also a legend about the Loup-garou balls, which refer to gathering of the wolves to meet in a clearing in the swamp and dance on their high legs before going out on a hunt. This definitely gives new meaning to Call of the Wild. 19th century tale of the Rougarou involved a young newlywed who was waiting for her husband late on a moonlit night near the swamp, although her husband has warned his bride not to go out after dark. She becomes impatient for his return and ignores his warning. As she stands in the chill of the night air, she sees a huge dark form with red glowing eyes emerge from the woods, stricken with terror when before her in the clearing stands a huge wolfman. Shocked by the sight of the Rougarou, she fails to avert her eyes from the creature's fiendish gaze before it retreats back into the woods. Remembering the tales of the Rougarou, she locks herself in the woodshed each night of the full moon and tells no one of her experience. Since her husband frequently works at night, he doesn't know that she locks herself up each full moon. Finally, the allotted time of the year and a day passes. Her husband, quite unexpectedly, asks her if she has ever waited for him at night by the edge of the woods. The young wife lies and says she has not. Her husband looks straight into her eyes and replies that he knows she has, because he was the Rougarou she encountered a year and a day ago. He goes on and tells her that since she had kept her silence about the experience for the requested year and a day, the curse was now broken for both of them. Another tale holds that the Rougarou will haunt and kill any Catholic who does not keep Lent properly. Conversely, the Loup-garou stories among the French Catholics states that breaking Lent for 7 consecutive years will turn a person into the Loup-garou. The legend has frequently been used both as a form of discipline and a cautionary tale by parents to children. Stay out after dark and the Rougarou is sure to get you. Llewellyn Pitre recounts a story his father told him of the Loup-garou, who once prowled the bayous at night, calling fishermen's oysters and eating half of them. Other Rougarou tales feature a man who is constantly followed by the Rougarou and becomes so obsessed with the creature that when he finally kills it, usually by stabbing it with a wooden stick, he spends the rest of his life mourning its absence. There is also the common moffat that the wanderer who encounters the Rougarou at night draws its blood and thus caught under the spell of the Rougarou for a year and a day. In these versions, the Rougarou is often someone the victim knows. Alright guys, there is a little bit of historic lore from Louisiana. I interviewed a state trooper from Louisiana once where he saw the Rougarou, or a Dogman, run through his parish, and I didn't want to include anything that I've already recorded because it's already recorded and you guys can check it out in his own words and others. Definitely a very chilling area. Nowhere else in the United States, I mean, yeah, there's swamps throughout the United States, but for some reason, nowhere else in the United States is there a place such as Louisiana that just, you hear it and you think Mardi Gras, you think swamp, you think Cajun crawfish, and you think the Rougarou, or the Honey Island Swamp Monster. Gators, just things that really don't make sense. I did interview a person who sent me a gator head from Louisiana. Thank you. It's hanging in my studio still to this day. And he lived like 500 yards behind his parents' house, in a house. His mom watched him walk down the sidewalk to his home and saw a black shadow, or black mist, which some people have said that's the Rougarou. A lot of people say the Rougarou can change into like a gator, kind of a bipedal gator. There's just a lot of legend, and they are very creepy. And I'm fascinated with them. I'm so fascinated with older legends, new encounters, scientific findings, this and that. Before we end this, a couple things I want to say. I picked up a book the other day, and it's called The Werewolfen Lore and Legend. Werewolfen. Werewolfin. Okay. And it was a work originally published in 1933 by Kegan Paul, under the original title of The Werewolf. And The Werewolf in Lore and Legend, Montague Summers. It's a very interesting book, and it's full of lore and a lot of... So if you guys do get a chance to get the book, The Werewolf in Lore and Legend, I encourage you to. It is cryptozoology from the 30s. It's not a work of fiction. It's pretty much encounters that had happened back then that were written about. It's very, very cool. Trust me, it's a good read. It's a long read, but it's a good read. All right, folks, I hope you all enjoyed this middle of the night or early morning bonus upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that helps the channel to continue to grow and go. And honestly, what makes it a place for people to want to share their experiences, ideas, and theories, judgment and ridicule-free, simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Thank you. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless.